What up? It's the Broken Bat podcast, not a singer, so I'm never doing that again. But we're super hyped to be here. Episode 21. Are you kidding me? We're in the 20s. This is insane. We love talking about baseball, and so we're going to keep pumping out this content. We hope you guys are along for the ride with us. If you like what you guys are hearing, make sure to hit that follow button on whatever platform you're listening to. It helps us out so much. More about different platforms you can follow us on, or just find us. Follow would be great as well, but if you just want to find us other places as well, Peter, where else are they going to find us?
That was a perfect setup. Teed it up for me so I could smoke
Yes, sir.
this.
Don't miss.
On Instagram and Twitter, we are at the Broken Bat Pod, no spaces. We like to throw out some hot takes on there occasionally, get that debate discussion going, which is always fun. We are also currently on YouTube, so you can see our beautiful faces. Have a couple shorts on there that details a certain relationship with a certain player that if you've listened to the podcast, you know exactly who we're talking about, and the back and forth roller coaster of that. So that's exciting. And make sure if you're listening to us, give a follow on whatever it is: YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Those are literally the only list I know, but I'm sure there's other out there. So go ahead and give us a follow. Casey, let them know what we're talking about today.
Would love to. We're talking about our good friend Shohei and a little bit of history about him. Peter's going to teach that lesson for us because he's the biggest Shohei honk I know. We're going to talk about the Korea and London series. Also, J-Rob, are the Cardinals really turning it around?
Well,
I don't know.
We'll get into it. We're going
to take a look. We're going to look into our crystal ball, look into the future a little bit this weekend. Not too far because we don't want to go into any elections or political stances. Just the weekend. We're going to give out a quick shout out to our good friend, friend of the pod, LeBron James.
James.
Hopefully he can pull it out. Him and his boys could pull it out today against the Dubs. We are a LeBron friendly podcast. Friend of the pod reached out to us. Him and Peter are good friends.
Oh, really? It is news to me that he reached out to us. So that's pretty dope. I don't think it's true, but
you didn't tell us that. I would have appreciated finding that out before now, but okay.
Seriously.
Share that content info with us.
Yes. So real quick before we jump into whatever it is, our intro for you guys to listen to that sick beat. We're trying to throw up polls all the time, like we said before, like Peter's told us. But currently, right now, if you're on Twitter while you're listening to this, you can jump over to Twitter while you have Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcasts, whatever it is, whatever platform you're listening to us on. Jump over to Twitter. We got polls going. Is Justin Verlander a top 10 pitcher ever? And the trade that happened at the trade deadline last year with Harrison Bader going to New York and Jordan Montgomery coming to the Cardinals, who won that trade? Are the Cardinals with Jordan Montgomery, Harrison Bader with the Yankees? Go vote. We just posted those a little bit ago. We got votes flying on those.
I would like to point out those polls won't be active by the time this episode's uploaded.
One's got over a day. So, and this will be posted tonight. So that's true. I mean, it'll be on there. Hopefully it's out by midnight Mountain Standard Time, or maybe like 1 a.m. because I'm a night owl. I'm up late. I'll get it out, but so we'll see. But stay tuned. Go do those while you're listening to this music.
Can I give a quick shout out real quick?
Please.
Let's go Yankees. Chase for 28.
True. Not that odd. That's like room temp take, but that's all right.
Oh, where's Shohei gonna go?
Obviously, I'm no GM or no Major League Baseball owner, but if I were,
as always, go M's.
I can pronounce it however I want until he tells me personally when he comes and joins the pod as a friend of the pod.
All right, hope you enjoyed that. Real quick before we jump into everything, guys, I just had a brilliant idea that we have to do. Literally starting 2 episodes from now, because I don't feel like we'll have enough time to prepare before next episode. Understandably, but 2 episodes from now when we record next, we need to do, while people, for those like the 25-30 seconds while our intro is going, we need to have like some competition between us while that's going. So that would be something for the YouTube viewers, because we, again, like Peter said, we post all of our episodes. We record like video and audio, and then that's uploaded on YouTube. But then for YouTube viewers, they would get to see us doing something. Like I was taking a drink of my Dr. Pepper, and it took me back to our Shag and Balls day. For those,
Dr. Pepper sponsor us.
Yeah, you guys wouldn't know that, but we were all previously on a podcast called Shaggin' Balls with another buddy of ours a few years ago. But there's one thing that we did one time is we chugged soda. Like two of us had a soda and we chugged to see who would win. So in those 25, 30 seconds, we all have a drink and have to like chug it during, or like who can do the most push-ups in that time. I don't know. We'll see. It's a work in progress. We'll come up with something. My push-ups would literally be like 5 in about 30 seconds, if that. But I don't know. We can talk about that off cast, but
I like the idea, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah, sounds like I think it could be a lot of fun. I think we can get some views on those for the shorts and stuff. But anyways, jumping in, what do you guys? We're starting with Shohei. If you guys didn't know, excuse me, man, that Dr. Pepper is giving me the hiccups. But last time, Shohei Ohtani's last start, not his most recent start, but the one before, was in St. Louis versus the Cardinals. He got like 13 strikeouts, something like that. And that this is actually what brought it to my attention, is they were talking about how he was, after those 13 strikeouts, 2 strikeouts away from passing Babe Ruth for most strikeouts by like a hitter, batter, like a person that essentially, two-way player. There you go. Thank you. And so with this last start, I don't know do we know how many strikeouts he got this last time on his last start?
It's 7, I believe.
7 strikeouts. So definitely past that. So now he's the all-time leading two-way player with like the most strikeouts or whatever. So that's really dope. I always thought Babe Ruth actually pitched a lot more than he really did until like learning more about Shohei and kind of comparing the things. Babe Ruth didn't actually end up pitching for that long. Like, he pitched for a number of years, but he essentially became just a hitter, semi-decent, or not, well, I don't know.
A semi-decent hitter? What are you trying to say here?
Like, pretty early on. Like
Babe Ruth was a pretty all right hitter. Yeah, you could say that.
Great hitter, obviously. But I just mean he was a two-way player for a lot shorter than I originally thought, I guess is my point. So, not surprising at all to me that Shohei passes him for strikeouts. Don't think he's going to pass him. I think we actually made a comment about this on an episode or two ago. I don't think he's going to pass him on the home run side. But what do you guys think is more impressive for whenever Shohei Ohtani retires? Say he has like X amount of home runs, like a few hundred home runs, because he just hit also in St. Louis at that one. He hit his 100th home run. So say he finishes with 250, 300, 350 home runs, but then has like 2-3 times more strikeouts than Barry Bonds, Babe Ruth. What?
Good Lord.
I know, I'm all over the place tonight. Jeez Louise. Who's better in that instant? Like, do you guys already have an opinion on who's, like, Babe Ruth is better than Shohei, vice versa? Say Shohei hits 350 bombs and then strikeouts, I don't know how many, but like way higher than Babe Ruth ever did. Does that make him better if Babe Ruth's better right now? What are your thoughts?
I'll go first since I feel like this is an easy answer. Shohei's going to be better than Babe Ruth, hands down, no question.
Is he
and
right
the reason
now?
I say that, yes,
he's already
100%.
better than Babe Ruth.
Look at it. Look at the pitchers. Look at the game back in the day, right? And again, this is kind of comparing like MJ to LeBron, right? Like, it's 2 different eras of basketball. This is 2 different eras of baseball. But what makes the eras of the baseball different than the basketball is the basketball game evolves in different ways. Where back in the 90s, basketball is more physical, not as high scoring offense. Where now basketball in the current day is very little defense, very high offense. So, but to counter, or to kind of the point I'm trying to make here is the average fastball, I can't imagine, was faster than, let's say, 85 miles an hour. That's probably like the top speed. As you see, like, through history, the velocity of pitchers is going up. I remember in like 2002, like 95 was like unheard of. Like, that was like what we consider like 103, 104 today. Like, that was like that fast. Like, no one was really, if you were touching 100, like, you were like god tier. But the fact that Shohei can throw that kind of velocity, have the same dominance on the mound as he does on the plate. Like, again, Babe Ruth pitched not as long as I don't even know the exact amount of time he pitched when he did, but it
For
wasn't
who?
as long
Babe
as
Ruth?
Shohei. Yeah, Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact. I don't have like the stats pulled up in front of me. And we all know how a great hitter Babe Ruth was. But again, look at the competition back then. Like you have baseball players, like Major League Baseball players, working side jobs as plumbers or whatever, bakers, whatever. Like that's just the day and age we live in with baseball, where the average player who's not a superstar still is making a very comfortable living that they don't need to have a second job or whatnot. So just the competition of the level I think is better now than it ever has been, and it keeps getting more intense and more hard to have these results and whatnot. So I think even like the average baseball player is in better hands than it was back in the day. But comparative to Shohei versus Babe Ruth, it's Shohei by a landslide, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think Babe Ruth has the numbers, and I think the longevity thing will kind of play a factor into it because I think the game, like I said, the game isn't as intense, it's not as fast, it's not as brutal as it was back in the day. So I think players' careers were longer. Like health issues weren't necessarily the biggest aspect of the game. Where now it's like every little injury is very heavily examined, especially with a player of the caliber of Shohei Ohtani, where if he strains his calf or something, they're gonna take every precaution, every ounce of like limitation they can before he gets out there. Um, that's just how I think the game is going now. So I don't think he'll get to the point of beating the home run record for Babe Ruth or passing Babe Ruth, but I think just in pure statistics that we have with like barreling the ball, pitching, ERA, all this other etc. I think Shohei will have a better career than Babe Ruth would have or has had. Not necessarily statistically with like because people think of the home runs, right? I don't think he'll ever get to that point of home runs because I think he's got to play for another 15, 20 years. I don't know if Shohei has that, especially how old he already is now. Because coming over, he was a rookie, I think, like when he was 25 in the MLB, if not a little older. I'm not entirely sure, but he's almost 30 now. I don't see him hitting close to 500 home runs in a 10-year span. And, with the gradual decline that most players have. And he could shock us. I don't know. That's the beauty of Shohei is we don't know what we're going to get necessarily because me personally, I almost wrote him off a few years ago where I was to the point where it's like he's got to pick one or the other, and then he's proven me wrong.
Yeah.
So we don't know what exactly we're gonna get, but that's my stance on it. I think Shohei by far, even as it stands today, is the best baseball player to have ever played the game.
Yeah. Pete, your thoughts?
I have very similar thoughts as well. I just think it's like Casey was mentioning, today's game is such a specialized sport, and like especially, I mean, even when I started playing as a young guy, like 20 something years ago now, it was already like if you're a great pitcher, you specialize in pitching. If you're a great hitter field, you specialize in that. So that he was like good enough that like, no, you can do both.
Yeah.
Like, that is just impressive that he made that all the way to now the majors, where it's like most people like hitters stop hitting in middle school, if not before, or pitchers stop hitting in middle school because they're just so focused on, well, to be good enough to make the majors, I have to be literally only locked in on pitching. And so just that he was good enough in today's game with all the people, with everyone to be that. So I do think he's and then like Casey mentioned, I also think with all the updates to the game, like it's just more impressive to be a good player now than it was back then. But
Yeah.
so
Well, and
it's pretty.
go or you finish your thought. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, so I basically just agree with everything Casey said. So which is a unique time, but we'll take it for this stance.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. So I just pulled up real quick, both Babe Ruth and Shohei Ohtani's stats. This is according to the Baseball Reference or whatever. See how good standing, like they know what they're talking about. But it shows. So Shohei Ohtani's only pitched for 5 years, been in the league since 2018, but he missed all of 2019, or at least he didn't pitch at all in 2019. So 5 years of pitching, and he's only pitched in 71 games, Shohei, and then that innings is 395 and 2/3 compared to Babe Ruth. He pitched for 10 years. Technically, though, like Babe Ruth started when he was 19 in 1914. and then he only pitched in 4 games that year. Then he pitched full time, it looked like, for the next like 5 years. But then he only pitched in 1 game in 1920, 2 games in 1921, pitched in 1 game in 1930, pitched in 1 game in 1933. So pretty much after 1919, he pitched in 4 more seasons, but pitched a total of 5 games in those 4 seasons. So really didn't pitch after that. So I mean, and that was 24 years old. So he pretty much stopped pitching at 24 years old. I don't even know. Shohei wasn't even in the league, or he was in the league at 23. So Shohei was barely in the league at that age. Yeah. But yeah, in those games, or Shohei's 71 games, and then Babe Ruth pitched in 163 games, and he's already pitched or passed him in strikeouts. He's got just as many strikeouts in less than half the amount of games played. So, like, and what you got to echo what you guys are saying, today's game is so much harder than it was back then, especially from the pitching side. So the fact that he's doing even better, like, in so much less, he's way better of a pitcher than Babe Ruth ever was. So I don't know. We could go on in the comparison and everything. I just wanted to look to kind of see how long Babe Ruth pitched and everything. I mean, technically it was 10 years, but again, for 4 or 5 his first year and the 4 last years of pitched a total of 9 games in 5 years. Yeah. So
I mean, they have position players that pitch every once in a while too. So it's like that's essentially a position player coming in a blowout to pitch. I mean, I assume he started the game and stuff, but 1 or 2 appearances isn't like actually pitching. So.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So it will be, I don't know. From my point, or from what I think, pitcher, hands down, Shohei's better. Hitter, I don't know. I'm interested to see where Shohei ends up as, like, batting or whatever goes on, just because he's career home runs. Where is he? I don't know why this is different, but this has him at career home runs 134, but I swear they just said the other day he just hit 100. So no idea.
The 134 is more accurate because
You think 134 is more accurate?
Yeah. What you were talking about is because we talked about the other day. He versus the Cardinals became only the second pitcher ever to have 500 strikeouts and 100 home runs. But he already had the 100 home runs. Like, he was already way over that number. It's just so that's why I think you're going to get confused.
That's probably what it is, yeah. Because I'm on MLB.com now, and this is obviously going to be the most accurate information. What the heck? I don't know. Oh, this is probably his pitching side. LOL. I was like, that does not make sense. But where's he at? Yeah, career 135 is what it has it at. So, yeah, I don't know. And that's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
This is the 6th season, yeah.
So, and he's averaged, it's 7 1 year, but was hurt. Only played 46 games. Only played 106 in 2019. Had 18 home runs. I don't know. When he plays a full season, he's hitting 34. But he also has a few years of being down and came in the league late. So, there's no way he passes. I don't think he hits 600 home runs, honestly.
Yeah, because you think about someone like, Pujols is the last, because he got over 700, right?
Yeah, 702.
But he started at 18 or 19.
Yeah. I don't even know if he was in the minor leagues for a year. He might have been in for 1 year. He was
pretty healthy for 20 straight years, maybe 22, whatever. It was a long career.
Yeah. His first 11,
barely got to 700, so.
For his first 11 seasons.
He had a 30 home run and 100 RBIs.
Yeah, he hit over. Yeah. Well, yeah, he barely missed, because for the first 10 seasons, he had over 30 home runs, over 100 RBIs, and batted over 300. And then I'm pretty sure his year 11 that he hit 299 that year. So he barely missed it there. Yeah, 2011, which, I don't know, maybe that was his 10th season, but batted 299. But home runs, 37, 34, 43, 46, 41, 49, 32, 37, 47, 42, 37, 30. 2013 was the first year he didn't hit more than 30 home runs. And that was what, year like 12 or 13 in the league. So he was hitting bombs every single year. So,
yeah, but that just shows that, I mean, he was that consistent, which Shohei has been when he's on injury, but
yeah.
he started 5 years earlier, 5-6 years earlier, age wise. So like, be hard to pull off.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope he gets up there and hits a lot of home runs. Like, I mean, I
hope
want
he
him
gets
to do well.
It'd be cool to
Yeah.
join, if he can join the 500 club as long as he stays healthy and
Yeah.
playing. So I hope he did at least 5, because I mean, imagine having 500. I mean, probably by that point, obviously, I'll have more to like 1,000 Ks, 500 home runs. Like that's
insane.
disgusting.
Yeah, seriously. Like that'd be incredible. That would be, you would think at least, like untouchable ground. Like no one ever again does that, because it's insane. Like Casey, what you were saying, we were talking about a few years ago, again on the Shaggin' Balls podcast, that we were pretty much, I remember talking with Hepworth and be like, he's got to pick one. Is he gonna be a batter? Is he gonna be a pitcher? And then it's now like he's doing both at a very high rate. So crazy.
Shout out Jake.
Shout out Jake, man. Wrong in his take, but we all were, so that's all right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of us.
Yeah.
Hitter.
We'll admit it. We were wrong
So,
there. So
that was a tough L for us.
Yeah.
That's why we shout him out as often as possible now.
Yeah. And we're gonna be honest about that. If we're gonna take an L on a take, we'll be honest. We'll own up. So that's why you should listen to us, because we'll tell you the truth.
Except Casey.
Yeah, except
Yeah,
Casey.
Rocktober's in full force.
Casey will make things up. He'll know.
Where are we at with Tay Oscar?
Yeah.
Because
That's
where
important.
you're at,
That's important.
plus you've never been the other side, so that's what where are we at?
Don't get me started right now. I just don't know
no.
about. I was really pissed the other day when he struck out to end the game. Wasn't too thrilled about that. We lost one of three to. We took 1 of 3
To who?
Rangers and
Ooh.
Rangers. Yeah,
Rangers.
we're losing some ground.
Shout
But,
out
hey, we're a loving podcast here. Me and Teoscar, I embrace him for who he is as a human being.
Okay.
Good. We're turning the corner. It's like I support that.
All right. What do you guys think? Who wants to start us off on the Korea series and the London series?
I mean, I can bring that up. Actually, I mean, we don't have to go super in depth into it. I just know some announcements recently. We talked about this before, just to like excitement and expansion and how that's going to go. And Korea, especially, that one stood out to me because I don't remember us talking about it before, because I don't remember looking at it or anything. So that one is especially exciting to me. We talked about it before with London. It's kind of like, I don't consider that a baseball town, but that's coming up soon. And I saw how they like extended it or something like that. I didn't look too deeply into the news. But there's that, and there's the Korea series, which I think is going to be awesome because that's such a baseball-loving town and area, and there's Korean ball players and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's awesome and exciting. I just kind of want to see your guys' thoughts. If you're feeling anything new or exciting now that you see London's going to be extended, Korea has been announced, still similar to where we were before. So I just kind of want to do a quick check-in and see where we're at with that. Because personally, I'm very excited for the Korea series. I think that's going to be super cool.
Yeah, I think it's dope. I think it's going to be super exciting just to, again, expand baseball. Like, I mean, baseball's super big over there, and then just for the MLB to be over there and all that, I think is going to be great. Obviously, I'm super excited for the London series because that's Cardinals Cubs, and the Cardinals just wrapped up their first series against the Cubs this week, taking 2 of 3 there. So I am disappointed because I said the Cardinals were going to go on an 8-game winning streak. They did win 3 in a row. They lost on Wednesday to the Cubs, but that's all right. I'm not too worried about it. What I meant to say is we're going to start our 8-game winning streak on Thursday is what I was going to say. So we're going to start that tomorrow or today if you're listening to this. But I think it's, I don't know. keeping it short, super excited, honestly, for both. I think it sucks for players going to travel halfway around the world to play a couple of games and come back, just the jet lag and everything, but I think it honestly does a lot for baseball. Casey?
I mean, it's the same thing I've had before. Like, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think it's exciting that Korea is going to be able to do it because I think they are Japan or baseball and like the well, I don't know what they call that region. I don't want to say the Middle East, but like
Asia?
Asia,
It's a
is
continent.
big. Is big, yeah, big over there. Um, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm more excited to hear about what happened in Orlando. How they got. You guys see that?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up after this. Yeah.
I didn't see that.
You did not see it, Pete?
I'm unaware.
Oh,
So break some news to me.
go look up. Casey,
play yourself?
you brought it up, so Casey, you break it. I'll give you that.
Let me look it up. I want to get the actual like
The facts.
facts of it. I don't want to just spit out
So-
random.
So
nonsense.
I'll start it a little bit, and then I'll transition into you. So I believe it is the old owner of the Orlando Magic, if I'm not mistaken. In case you fact check me
That's
there.
the co-founder of the Magic.
Co-founder of the Magic, who he's no longer an owner, right?
No.
Yeah, but he proposed. I don't know if this has been a work in progress, but essentially just came out. They have plan. I'm surprised you haven't seen this because this is all I've seen on my feed the last few days, like last 2 days. But they came out with a proposal and want an MLB expansion team, like kind of same thing that Salt Lake did. They have it all like mapped out with like kind of the animations of what the stadium would look like, the surrounding areas, all that stuff. It actually looks really dope. And the first thing I thought of is that poll we ran and how we talked about that one time on one of the episodes is, would we rather have like go to 32 teams, 36 teams, or 40 teams, like adding 2, 6, or 10 teams? And I was like, there's more and more areas. This is the first thing I thought. There's more and more areas that are like, I feel like ready or wanting to have baseball than I even realized. Like Florida, there's already 2 teams in Florida. And it blows my mind. MLB's got to be like, all right, well, we have the Tampa Bay Rays who can never fill their stadium. We have the freaking Miami Marlins who never fill their stadium. We want to put another team in Florida, but that was my second thought. But yeah, essentially Orlando wanting to have a team.
Yeah,
It's
I hadn't seen that at all. But sorry, go ahead, give us the actual facts, Casey.
So it's a $1.7 billion that would cost them. And they're building it across from SeaWorld, which is interesting. Good
facts.
Here's what I kind of think about, because it says the group hopes to bring professional baseball to Orlando, either luring the Rays or entering the league through expansion. Which to me kind of makes an interesting point, because I know the Trop, which everyone knows and loves, the juice box.
Juice box, yep. Famously known.
The juice box it's getting a little old. It's getting a little expired. I don't know how much Pete loves going to the juice box to play the juice box Bombers. But this new stadium, I'm looking at pictures of it right now. I'll kind of give a quick little. I don't know how well they're gonna see, but this is kind of what it's gonna look like a little bit. My camera will focus. You can see that a little bit. It's a super dope stadium, and like just the pictures they have, it's like a super fun, inviting environment. But 1.7 billion, and I've read some of the thread on Twitter, and people are kind of calling out people that Orlando needs a little bit more public, like roads and housing and whatnot, investments before a $1.7 billion stadium. But hey,
every area is going to complain about that.
Yeah.
Also, like Sarah mentioned, I don't think Florida should get. I don't know if Florida should have the 2 teams they have right now.
Yeah, I think
of all the cities we discussed, Orlando would be my last choice, because it's not like the Magic are filling their stadium all the time either.
And that's
basketball,
a quarter of the size.
They do out there. Exactly, and like the Rays don't fill. Miami doesn't feel like. I don't think Florida. I mean, and the Rays are a good team, because I was gonna say maybe they just have to have like winners, but the Rays have been winning for 15 years now and still don't fill their stands. Like, I mean, like when the Yankees come down, they sell pretty well, but or like Boston, I'm sure, but even they're still not like packed and sold out.
Yeah,
I think Orlando would be an insane choice.
Well, I think it would be what I didn't know is that they would be which I mean I guess makes sense, but essentially they'd be an option for like the Tampa Bay Rays to go there instead of like a new expansion team, but the Rays to move to Orlando, which I think, could be a good idea because Orlando to me, because yeah, you have SeaWorld, but that's also where Disneyland or Disney World, I don't know.
Disney World.
Disney World is. So you like, I mean, it's a very touristy area. I mean, granted for families, but also like at least more than Tampa Bay.
Tourist spots are like good sports towns necessarily. Like
Vegas is a tourist spot.
I mean, yeah, but Vegas is like, it is. But
I think Vegas makes more sense because of how fast it's growing and like how much like that's a market that people want to get in because there's so much money in Vegas.
And like
when I think of Vegas, I think of
stuff.
Yeah, like Orlando, I think is more like a family oriented. Which to me, if I'm being honest with you, I think I would rather have Tampa go to Orlando. But the issue that people are having with the A's going to Vegas is the history there, and then the Rays are not as old franchise as the A's are, and the A's have a lot of rich history. But like same with Tampa, like there's like that game 163 where they beat the Yankees to get to the playoffs. Couple World Series runs
for a while now.
Yeah.
Well, and like we talked about real quick.
Yeah.
So Vegas, yeah, I think people come here like, parties and stuff like that, so you can go. But I don't see a family going to like Disney World for the day or SeaWorld where it's right next to, and then going to a game on like see them like, oh, I'm gonna go spend all day at Disney and then go to the game after. So I do an interesting idea I just thought of, and I don't know if they're considering because I know they talked about before, or like splitting the Rays home games, like half in Tampa so they don't lose Tampa, but like also playing in Orlando to like kind of see maybe which does better. So I mean, that might be, but other than that, I don't know. I wouldn't be too excited about it. I mean, it's cool that lots of people want baseball. There's that like passion and search for growth and expansion, but
I think the Rays going to Orlando is. I think Orlando has a better chance of getting the Rays than getting an expansion team.
I agree. I just think I think that's what it should do. I think obviously Rob needs to take my advice seriously. What I would advise him to do, because I know he's out there listening, you have to be cautious. I think my overall thought on all of this, just with expansion teams and everything, is you have to be so cautious the market you get into, because even if you look at Tampa Bay, sure, I mean, if you say overall you think of Tampa Bay, that team has been successful, like the organization has been successful, like they've learned how to build from the ground up, like they have a good winning team, they're the most winningest team in baseball right now, like, but even with all of that, like you said, Pete, the time their stands are filled the most at home is when they're playing teams that are close enough by and like with a fan base that travels. So like when New York or Boston comes into town, that's when they sell the most tickets, and they probably sell more tickets to opposing team fans than they do their own fans. Like I feel like if you don't have a strong fan base, it's hard to, like, obviously it's not going to be as profitable for Major League Baseball. So again, Tampa Bay has been doing great, but like, how big is their fan base? Because they have how many people go to those games, and it's not when the season starts, last day of March or like first day of April, around that time frame. It's like 70 degrees down there, so it's not like it's cold. And isn't the what do we call it? The juice box is a dome, so it's indoor regardless. So like weather shouldn't play a factor like some other stadiums. Yeah, so I don't know. That would just be my caution.
Interesting. Yeah, had no idea. So broke some news today.
Yeah.
Casey Passan calling. Passing. Casey Passan.
Yeah, Casey Passan. Don't worry, I got you. Yeah. You guys want to talk about?
Are we ready to go into the Cardinals, J-Rob?
Well, you let me know, because I'm always ready.
More in depth.
I'm always ready. Are you guys ready? Let me know, because I'll start whenever.
Yeah.
We might have to cut you off.
All right, Casey.
They were not saying go Cubs, though. They were saying go Cards go.
Oh, were they there?
Days in Yeah.
I heard the start of the music and I tuned it out. I'm gonna be honest, it was tuned out. I was not listening. But Cardinals, here we go. Cardinals won 3 games in a row. After Wednesday game, they did take a hard L on Wednesday. That's all right. Last 4 games, 3-10, or 3-10, 3-1. I'll take that. In their last 10, that improves them. Ooh, I don't know for the last 10. Not on the sheet that I have, but they're playing better. They actually usually in their like recent history, the last few years, they've played really well at Wrigley. Also, Paul DeJong, he has 14 home runs at Wrigley Field in his career, starting like 2017 or something like that. Which is second most, which is tied for Albert Pujols for second most, and one behind Jim Edmonds for most home runs by Cardinals at Wrigley Field, which blows my mind because Wrigley's been around forever, and I don't know, he's up there. But out of those 14 home runs, do you know how many of those home runs have come in the 9th inning? Six of them. 6 of his 14 home runs have come in the 9th inning, which is huge because game 2 on Tuesday, he literally hit his 6th home run in the 9th inning to take the lead, and it ended up being the game-winning like run or whatever. So that was huge. Paul DeJong has honestly played super well since he's been back up. Well, he started the year on the IL, and then since he started playing, he's actually played really well. So Cardinals overall are starting to turn around. Nolan Arenado starting to look a little better. Paul Goldschmidt is looking phenomenal. I mean, there's obviously still the big questions around, Wilson Contreras. But I personally, so Wilson, if you're listening to this, I personally sent you a message. I DM'd you on Instagram just to tell you, I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to read it. I DM'd you just to tell you that I support you, Cardinals fans support you. Essentially, our front office is terrible, and don't worry about it. That we're here for you. I'll summarize
because they did pretty good in the series.
It was before today's game on Wednesday's game. This is at 1:18 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But summarizing real quick because it's a little long. I said, "Hey man, just wanted to reach out. Huge fan. It's not just me, but Cardinal Nation loves, in all caps, you. You play with so much heart and energy, and we as a fan base love seeing that. We know you want to we know you want to win, and do everything you can to do so. There's a lot of blame on you right now, but the fans don't see it that way. We're here for you and support you 100%. Just keep grinding and doing what you're doing. Everything will work out. All love, brother." The freaking heart emojis. So 3 of the heart emojis. But I don't know. Wilson Contreras, man, he's the big question. I hate him DHing. And I mean, in Wilson, again, if you're listening to this part, hear me out because I love you being in the lineup and I want you in the lineup. But where I want you in the lineup and position, I want you to be the catcher. Andrew Kisner has actually played a lot better than I've expected him to, but he has not put up Wilson Contreras' number as a catcher. So, Wilson, I need you catching in the lineup because I need Tommy Edman to play second, Paul DeJong to play short, and I need Nolan Gorman being that DH because Nolan Gorman is going off. He's one of the best hitters we've had all year. Slowed down a little bit, but he's still playing super well. So, I think it's hurting the Cardinals so much right now that Wilson Contreras is not behind the plate because there's actually, I want to find this real quick if I can. There's just a tweet I saw today. Here's the tweet. It says this talks about the ERA for the starting pitchers and relief pitchers. So Wilson Contreras, he transitioned away from the everyday catcher on April 29th. So the starting pitcher's ERA prior to April 29th was 5.05. The starting pitcher's ERA since April 29th is 6.33. So literally has gotten worse with him not there. The reliever's ERA prior to April 29th is 3.93. And since April 29th is 3.86. So practically the same. So literally Wilson Contreras not being behind the plate, if anything, has gotten worse because there's that bigger jump with the starting pitchers from before and after. So Not saying there's no issues there, but Cardinal Nation, there's a lot of heat on Jack Flaherty right now because, Casey, did you see his interview yesterday, Jack's? Because he started game 2, I think. And his post-game interview was horrendous, bro.
I didn't. I saw you got a lot of heat on Twitter for it, but I didn't see it.
I would recommend, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. I mean, honestly, I like Jack Flaherty, but a lot of people think that Jack Flaherty is essentially the one that, like, was trying to get, not rid of Wilson Contreras, but, like, be the one to not, or, like, to kind of get him. He didn't like Wilson catching him or whatever and said there's a lot of issues. But the big thing is Jack Flaherty, hopefully I like that tweet as well. I don't think I did. But Jack Flaherty, essentially a big thing was, like, he threw, like, a bunch of fastballs at, like, 87 miles per hour, which is well below his average. And so they asked him about it multiple times, and he got super, like, upset about it and was like, stop asking me questions about the velocity of my fastball or whatever. I mess with the velocity of my fastball all the time, and I'll throw it slower, I'll throw it faster. Like, it's all part of the game and all part of what you got to do or whatever to, like, work against the batter. And so stop bringing that up or whatever. And then there's a stat that showed, like, Jack Flaherty, when he's throwing a fastball 87 miles per hour or lower, he's done it like 20 times in his career, like 20, 25, all of them, but like 5 were from yesterday's game. So he had like a handful that were way slower, or like that slow or a lower speed yesterday on Tuesday than like really ever before in his career. So there's just a lot of heat on him, and he was clearly upset because he didn't pitch well, but the Cardinals still ended up winning. He didn't pitch terrible, just not great. But Cardinals overall, like, I think we're doing a lot better, and it's our pitching that is where we've struggled. Our hitting has struggled here and there, but our hitting is actually what got us to 10 wins, like that we even won 10 games or whatever. But I don't know. The Pirates, they're losing a lot right now. Milwaukee's losing a decent amount. We missed a chance to make up another game today because Pittsburgh and Milwaukee lost on Wednesday, and then the Cardinals ended up losing too. But at least we didn't drop back another game in the division. But only 8 games out after Wednesday's games, so honestly, not too worried. This is technically the worst start the Cardinals have ever had since like 1907, when we started like 10-28 or something like that. I don't know, but Cardinals are going to win the National League Central. I will.
Wow.
If the Cardinals,
Put something on it.
Put something. That's what I was just gonna say. Yeah, I'll have to
put something on it. That's
looked,
it's a take of this.
No,
one.
it is. That's a hot take. In a market, it is May. November. I saw 11 for the time, but it is May 10th. 2023 and 2023, the St. Louis Cardinals are going to win the NL Central. If they don't, for the first podcast that we have after the season ends, I will wear a Cubs hat for the whole podcast.
Oh,
fair? Is that a good
one?
one?
In like August, when it's been clinched by somebody else.
Well, that's fine. Whenever they clinch, whenever like someone clinches or whatever, yeah, that it's not. Oh, at that point.
I like that. That's tough.
Do you want me to be? I'll give you guys options.
Made that bet in your spot.
Do what?
Never wear it.
You wouldn't
never wear a Red Sox hat for my.
Do you want it to be?
A lot more than we get paid to make this podcast.
Do you want it to be the Cubs, or do you want it to be whoever clinches the NL Central?
I think Cubs.
No, I need to be the Cubs.
Yeah, Cubs. Because
in case you just play that.
Yeah,
his
that's
drop.
true. And we'll make sure to get a picture,
screenshot.
Can you hold the W flag up too?
No, I will not. If the Cubs win the World Series this year, I'll do that. You'll have to purchase the flag, but if you purchase the flag, I'll hold up a W.
I will 100% purchase a Cubs W flag just for you to hold up. You can even throw it away after. I don't even care what you do, as long as I have a photo evidence of you holding that with a Cubs hat.
I don't know if I'll agree.
I will 100%.
No, just kidding.
Yes,
it'll be recorded live on our episode, but
the whole video. I am on board. Okay. Do you still want to go through with your statement, or do you want to change now?
That's how confident I legit am. That confident in the Cardinals winning the NL Central this year. Like, it's legit. The NL Central, I think, is so bad this year. Like, the Pirates are on a great run, but the question was kind of like, how long is this going to last? Like, I still am rooting for the Pirates in a weird way. Obviously, not more than the Cardinals, but like, they haven't been good in so long. I want them to be good. Milwaukee looks pretty decent, but I mean, now with the Pirates losing so much recently, they're both hovering around 500, a few games above. Cubs are like under 500. Cincinnati's under 500. Obviously, the Cardinals are, but we're only 8 games back. With how bad of a start we've had, being only 8 games back, 38 games into the season, like, am I worried? I don't think worried is the right word, but I'm confident the Cardinals make a comeback. But before the episode started today, sorry, real quick, and then you can go. I looked to see because I told you how I had a hat of all the teams in the NL Central. I don't think I have them here because I looked where I thought I'd have them. So I'm sure they're still in St. Louis at my parents' house. So I'll hit up my mom, see if my mom can find them, and then I'll have her send them out regardless, just so I have them. But then if Cardinals don't clinch the NL Central, be putting on that Cubs hat for that episode. But what were we gonna say, Pete?
I was just gonna bring this up because I looked it up because I was curious. The Cardinals are currently 8 games out in their division, right at 13 and 25. The Yankees, who would be tied with Pittsburgh for first in the NL Central, are 8 games back of the Tampa Bay Rays at 21 and 17.
Yeah,
that's insane. But I would not at this point make any proclamation about the Yankees winning the division. So.
Yeah. Well, I think the difference though between the Cardinals and Yankees and then their respective divisions, you have Tampa Bay, who's the best team in the league right now. Like your point, if you were in the NL Central, and you maybe just said this, you would be tied with Pittsburgh to be the best team in the NL Central. So like literally, that goes to show where the divisions are. The AL East compared to the NL Central, both the Pirates and Yankees are 21 and 17. So, but you also have Toronto, who's supposed to be really good. Boston has played a lot better than expected this year. Baltimore's playing a way better than expected, and they're like 11 games over 500. And then Tampa Bay's 20 games over 500. They haven't even lost. They're not even double digit losses right now. Yeah, so like, and they're
almost
38 games in. Yeah, so that's just, you're in like such a different division. I mean, same thing with you. I don't know if I could make that like bet if I was a Yankees fan or in your position, but as a Cardinals fan, how the Cardinals are playing, watching them every day, and then just the division they're in and how those teams are performing, long season, I think Cardinals are still going to win the NL Central. But do you guys have any questions for me? Anything about the Cardinals before we move on?
I do not.
I just hope you. I hope you have to wear that Cubs hat as your friend. I know how much it would pain you.
Yeah,
it would pain you. Even though I get some sort of sick thrill out of it. How I seeing you hold a W flag and wearing a Cubs hat and just hear you say, and I quote, "Go Cubs, go."
I never said I would.
It would bring so much joy to me and happiness, but I know how much it would hurt you. So I hope for your sake that you don't have to do that, but I also hope the Pirates win the division or the Cubs because I just want that.
Well, understandably. I mean, you want any other team other than the Cardinals to win the division no matter what, just because you don't want the Cardinals to win. But that's fair. Now you have new and real motivation for a different team.
I'm rooting for Pittsburgh just because, like you said, it's been so long and it'd be a cool story, cool to see. Especially, McCutchen nearing the end of his career. I've always liked him, respected him, so it'd be cool to see. But now, definitely board the Pirate train.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you guys just have real extra motivation at this point. So, understandable. Like, I get it. No hard feelings. I would be doing the same thing. You know what would be the best thing ever? Is Casey, if you made kind of the same thing, but not to the win of the division, but if the Mariners make the playoffs, if not, Astros hat. I would love to see that.
I'm not making. I don't have any faith in the. As long as Teoscar Hernandez is on that roster, I have no faith in the Mariners making the play. It's gonna be another 21 years.
Teoscar's not the one getting moved down the lineup because he's not producing.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh, there it is. Oh,
That's true. What well, kind of moving on to just the series that are like about to start in this week, kind of the weekend series. Is there any series, or even ones that have kind of wrapped up, or are about to start? Is there any series that you guys are watching or paying attention to that's kind of catching your eye?
I personally think there's actually. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Casey.
I was just gonna say there isn't because I don't like baseball because, yeah.
Wow, Dark. I'm absolutely shocked you didn't just say the Mariners series because that's been your bet every time
Yeah,
so far.
every single episode.
Yeah, I actually think there's a ton of exciting series this weekend, which is awesome for me. Especially, I mean, AL East wise, there's a lot of good series, which I think is awesome. Tampa Bay, New York, obviously. I mean, Tampa Bay is going to kick our ass just like they do all the time. So that's not that exciting for me because it's a 4-game series and we're losing at least 3 of them at home, which will not be great for our already 8 games trailing. Then there's also Pittsburgh at Baltimore, which I think is, like we mentioned, Pittsburgh down lately, but that's 2 high win teams. So it'll be interesting to see if Pittsburgh can turn it around or if Baltimore just continues to look as good as they've looked because like they're 11 games over 500 right now. So if they can kind of keep pace with Tampa, then St. Louis is going into Boston. Like you mentioned, St. Louis is better, and I hate the Red Sox, so I'm hoping for a sweep. Let's go Cards. But I think that's an interesting series as well as Toronto is playing. Atlanta's coming to Toronto, which Toronto's 3-7 in their last 10, so they're underperforming. Braves are obviously looking really good, really strong, like they have been all year. I think that's another kind of like, well, is Toronto going to come start trailing? I mean, them and the Yankees, I believe, both have 21 wins right now. But it'll be interesting to me. Yeah, they both have 21 wins, so I think that's another big series where it's like, can Toronto kind of turn it back around, or are the Braves going to put them so they're behind the Yankees in 5th place? So that's a lot. And then there's also Padres Dodgers coming up this weekend, which is always a big series. So I think that's like 5-6 series. So that's almost half the series this week that I think are good, competitive, like going to tell a lot series. So I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Besides losing 3 at least to the Rays, hopefully I'm just trying to not get swept. Honestly, at this point.
Yeah. Hey, I agree. I think there's a lot of good series, and I think Tampa Bay, New York. I think Peter, give yourself the benefit of the doubt. I think that's going to be a better series than you expect. Maybe you guys lose 3 or 4, but Aaron Judge is back. Harrison Bader, more like Darth Vader, or Darth Vader.
Shout out Darth Vader.
He's playing insane since he's been off the IL, but I think that's exciting just for the standings and for that division. To your point, does Tampa Bay just essentially continue their dominance, or does New York start to turn it around?
We can get a split. If we can get a split, that'd be big for us, honestly.
No, hey, you got Spider Attack himself going Friday for you, so.
Well, let's shout out my boy Spider.
Also, side note, real quick, did you guys see Trevor Bauer, his second start over in Japan? His stats or whatever, horrendous.
Oh, yeah.
They were terrible.
He got tattooed.
Yeah, he did. But I think Pittsburgh and Baltimore, like you said, Pete, that's going to be a good one. I mean, I think Pittsburgh's kind of struggled a lot recently, so interesting if they turn around. And like we said, Baltimore's playing really well right now. I'm really excited for Atlanta and Toronto. I think that's going to be a really good series, and I'm interested to see kind of how they match up, because that could potentially, I don't think it will be, but that could potentially be a World Series matchup. So cool to see kind of how that looks.
Bassett and Strider going on Friday. That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, so a lot of good matchups. I think obviously Cardinals Boston. I'm super excited for, just because Cardinals are starting to turn around. If you guys remember from an episode or 2 ago, I said the Cardinals were going at least 4-2 in their next 6 games. They're 3 against Chicago and 3 against Boston. So far, I'm looking pretty good. I'm on that pace, so we just need to take 2 or 3 in them there. And then I think also San Diego Dodgers. That's going to be a really good one, just because of big matchup, same division, all that stuff. I do think I am going to be watching a little bit Kansas City at Milwaukee, even though I don't think that's a good matchup necessarily. And Milwaukee's only a half game down to Pittsburgh in the NL Central right now. Not necessarily a hot take whatsoever, but I definitely think Milwaukee takes the division lead in this NL Central this weekend. Casey, your
It'd be
thoughts?
shocking.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to getting swept in Detroit.
If you get swept in Detroit,
No way.
granted, we got swept in Detroit, or well, I mean in St. Louis actually, which is worse. But so Detroit's not a terrible
That's
team.
why I was excited
but-
this week early on because I knew the Yankees were going to absolutely smack Oakland, and they did exactly what they needed to do. So you
Hey,
should be excited about this.
Shout out my mother. She actually is in New York and I went to the first game that Judge came back to. So
Ooh,
shout out
exciting.
Amy.
Hey, shout out Amy.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking forward to Seattle, Detroit. We have Marco Gonzalez going on the bump for us. Not looking great. Then we have Bryce Miller. Hopefully a friend of the pod.
Balling out.
Yeah, he's going again on Saturday, the matinee day. Then Mother's Day, Logan Gilbert. Little disappointed. Here's the thing that makes me upset about Logan Gilbert. Okay, is the days he's pitched, he has no run support whatsoever. He's 1-2 with a 3.79 ERA. Like he's keeping his team in the ball game. Even like his last start against Texas, he had a perfect game through 6.5, and then he got hit up a little bit. But there was like times where like Julio grounded to a double play with bases loaded, 1 out. Colton Wong struck out with like we got guys on base like in scoring position too as well, and they just can't get them home. So this offense just needs to pick it up because our pitching is actually doing a really good job. We're just not getting any offensive support. I mean, Julio, like you guys kind of mentioned, my boy,
Friend of the
got
pod.
dropped down to 6th. Friend of the pod.
He's batting 6th.
Yeah,
Oh my
he got dropped down a
gosh.
lot. You know, not quite Teoscar level drop down, but he got dropped down a little bit.
That's way worse than Teoscar, actually.
I love Gino Eugenio, but
Eugenio Suarez.
he strikes out way too much. Like this dude literally will swing. It's like me playing 2K, man. I see a slider like 6 feet out of the fucking zone, and I'm swinging at it like a fucking dumbass, like Javier Baez.
You just wait. You just get that fastball though, and that's going a quarter mile. Like,
yeah, if I even can catch up to it, damn. I mean, I'm not Eugenio. He's a lot better hitter than I am for sure. But in the show, man, I just and Kelnick. I mean, Kelnick's the only bright spot in that lineup right now. I mean, I can't say that, but like he is our most consistent and hot hitter right now. I mean, he keeps our team in ball games. Like today, that RBI triple with 1 out, and of course, no one can get him fucking home. I don't know, man. It's a struggle bus right now.
I feel you.
It's May 10th?
May 10th.
I don't even know what day it is.
Wednesday.
And I'm not thrilled about our lineup at the moment. And I know it's still early in the season, but like, man, when June 10th rolls around and we're having the same issues, I just don't know. I have faith in my team and I love my team till I die, but it's painful, man. It sucks. I mean, it's no Cardinals. You know what's your guys' record?
10 or 13 and 25,
20,
something like that.
But
yeah,
man, I just all the hype going into the season and our pitching staff, and it's not working out how I would like it to be. But hey, chase for one, am I right?
Chase for one, baby.
Chase for one.
Hey, you know what I think the worst, or Pete, do you have anything else about like series or anything, or Casey's comments?
No.
Okay. Worst thing in my opinion in baseball, like I don't get me wrong, 100% understand. I feel for the players, but worst thing in baseball, off days. Like I get so upset when I'm like, oh, Cardinals are playing well. Like especially if the Cardinals won today 4 in a row. I mean they didn't, but say they won 4 in a row after losing 8 in a row, and they're like, okay, who do we play tomorrow? Let's keep this going. Oh, off day, great. Or even though we lost today, like we still have good momentum, and it's like off day, no baseball today, lose momentum. Like obviously not really, or it's not that intense or whatever, but like I don't know. I just hate off days. Cardinals don't play on Thursday, May 11th, so I'm upset, but it's all right. I'll get over it. Do you guys feel the same way or no? You just don't care?
It depends how the teams, like you said, if they're hot and like let's say, I mean, we just smacked Oakland, and let's say I had Kansas City next up on the line, like let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
But so it depends on A, how they're performing, and B, what the next team on the schedule is, because it's like,
yeah,
you know,
Well,
Going into a Tampa series, I wanted
Yeah.
a day off before you get rested.
True.
But, so then you don't have to rest some players in the matchup. So it depends on.
That's true.
Not me, man. I look forward to off days when the Mariners are sucking ass because
Don't have to
gets
take
me-
an L that day.
Yeah, I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, I don't have to suffer today. This is sick.
Hey, that's what on Twitter for Cardinals fans, that was the big joke is like, oh, Cardinals don't play today. Hey, at least we can't lose. Like, that's what everyone was saying or whatever when we were just losing so many games. But hey, we're turning it around. Cardinals are winning the National League Central in the year 2023 this year. If they don't, I'm going to wear a Cubs hat. And obviously, being a Cardinals fan, that's our biggest rival. So tune in for that. So just check in, see how we're doing. But Casey, what's your last words?
They're singing, "Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go!"
DFA
Wins.
Teoscar.
Wow, we're
Go
adding
in.
something new.
What?
We're adding something new.
Julio is the 6-hole slugger.
Wow, he's got a list today. I don't know if anyone's ever said that actually ever. 6-hole slugger. You could probably patent it because no one's definitely ever said that. Pete,
Yeah,
what you
that's
got?
the case unique.
Yeah.
I'd like to say DFA Aaron Hicks. Shout out Kate Upton's husband. Beat his 30th team in baseball today, which is a pretty cool fact.
Yeah.
I don't know how many pitchers shit, but it can't be a ton. So that's very impressive. Not as impressive as marrying Kate Upton, but still pretty cool. And Chase for 28.
Very nice. Sorry, just doing some quick fat check-in real quick. So to answer your question, 21 pitchers have beaten every single team. So obviously not very many if you think of how long baseball's been around.
There's been more perfect games because wasn't that 23 that we looked up?
Yeah, something like that.
That's crazy.
That is. All I gotta say, Chase for 12. Cardinals. Are you ready for another hot take? Sheesh, babe, take my temp. I'm hot right now. So we're thinking Cardinals not only win the NL Central this year, they're going on to win the World Series. Chase for 12.
Okay.
Not really. We're going to change it. It's not Chase for 12. It's Journey to 12 because we are on our way. We're not even chasing. Casey
just walked off the
Casey took
podcast.
his headphones off, set him on the chair, and he's gone. But you know what? That's all right because this is the end of episode 21. We appreciate you guys checking us out. If you guys have liked what you've heard, if you like the hot takes, if you want to follow up, see what kind of happens, if you want to see me wear the Cubs hat, I'm sorry to let you down. It's not going to happen this year because Cardinals are winning the NL Central, but on the off chance they don't, I'll be wearing a Cubs hat end of the year. Hit that follow button. We would greatly appreciate it. Find us on those other platforms that Pete told you about at the beginning of the episode. But for now, we're going to say see you later. We'll see you next time on the Broken Bat Podcast.